time to time, I think you feel that you are not important in your society. Maybe you feel bad that you are right now young. But if you want to be great one, if you want to change something in our history, in your life, you should understand the words of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and you need to return to the Holy Quran. When you return to the Holy Quran, you get a lot of things. Of course, you need model to follow him. Of course, you want to be a model today, but to understand your state and your position in this life and in Judgment Day, just return to the famous hadith from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ about the 7 types of the people who will stand under the shadow of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first group, without any doubt, the rulers, the presidents, the ministers, the leaders who follow the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who is the just. But the second one, the young people who grow up in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have only one condition to be great in our life and under the shadow of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was just one condition. Billions will be outside of the mercy that day, but you will be under shadow of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you this position by one condition. Worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no doubt you want to be the famous, you want to be, or you want to become today, right now, the leader. You want to change the society, and the elders maybe stopped you. You know why? Because it's maybe some jealousy from the elders. But at the same time, you should understand that all people who will go to the paradise will recover, will change, will return to the state, one state, your state. Every single one will become the young one. So think about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you under his shadow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will change all the Muslims who will go to the paradise to your state. So you are important or no? You are not just future. You are the past. You are all of them. Every single one you can ask him. I mean the elders. Do you want to back to your young age? He will say yes. Without any doubt. So you are important today. Don't think about yourself something bad. No. But our traditions, our rules sometimes stops you to do something. Why? Because the main rule of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all the prophets came to their peoples after the 40. Why? Because this is the gold age. You have experience, you have knowledge, and you are patient. This is one difference between you and between the who is in age 40. You have no patience. For this reason, your elder stops you to do something wrong or to do something. But please remind one hadith from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he said, who imitates any people or who copies any people in their actions, in their states, is considered to be one of them. You need model. You want to follow some person, and you're looking for this one. Well, sometimes you want to be model, but you need to return to the holy words and to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when he says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة. We have only one model in our life to follow him, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best one, because the last prophet from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But at the same time, you will say his age was 14. But I want to other example from the Quran al-Karim, talking about the young people. Who? The Prophet Ibrahim, father of the prophets, the Khalilullah, the most beloved for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from all the prophets. And when his people talk about him, they are said, we heard one young person told he will destroy our idols. Just one action by the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he changed the history and he became the famous one. So if you want to be famous one, if you want to be leader, you need to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you need to take two models. The Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you're taking the other people as the model, you'll be lost. Believe me. This is the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For this reason, today you have a good chance. Today you can do everything. You have a knowledge, you have a social media, you have a society, you have eternity, you are in the peace, you are not in the trail. So use your life and change your state and change the society. This is your mission for your whole